welcome to Atop Godzilla's Wall, where we look at comics to have featured the king of the monsters. Let's talk about the history of Godzilla Comics.
First, he was published in Japanese manga throughout his 50-year career. Even the original film had a manga adaptation, as did nearly every film he made up until Godzilla 2000. The rest of the Millennium-era films didn't get the proper treatment.
What the heck? I knew they weren't that popular, but damn!
There were some original comics that were put out around this time, like a direct sequel to the original and a direct sequel to the real sequel of the original. There was even one to feature a Godzilla-like creature from space.
A space Godzilla. This idea might have potential.
Most of these comics were geared for the younger crowd, but many of them were more adult in nature and even featured some nudity.
Godzilla porn. They knew what Rule 34 was before Rule 34 was ever invented. It's sad that I know that.
Godzilla's drawn form wouldn't reach the States until 1976, when Megalon was released here. Marvel did a movie tie-in comic which was given away free at movie theaters. It didn't even have a cover, so we have no idea who drew or wrote it. It also got character names wrong, like calling Jet Jaguar Robot Man.
I guess Super Ninja Robot Man was already taken.
And calling Gigan Borodan.
Are they trying to say he was a more boring version of Rodan? Bullhock!
Next, Marvel would actually come out with a series called Godzilla, King of the Monsters, which was part of the real Marvel Universe. It was written by up-and-comer Doug Monk.
I wonder if it was DC, he would have had him fight Batman and lose.
Over the course of 24 issues, he would face off against the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and even Spider-Man. He also fought a multitude of other monsters, none of which were directly from the Toho films. It stems from the fact that Godzilla is a single property, while you have to pay extra for each monster.
In short, Toho monsters, each sold separately.
If you're really interested, there was a collection published in 2006 titled The Essential Godzilla. It sounds like the easiest to find. With the release of Godzilla in 1985, there would be a revival of movie tie-in mangas in Japan. This is also the only one I've had the pleasure to read, as it was the only one translated into English.
I wonder if it's translated. Does it still have bad dubbing? Yep.
This was published by Dark Horse in 1990, who had acquired the rights to Godzilla in the late 80s. Throughout the 90s, they had a steady output of Godzilla features, and even a regular series entitled Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
I mean, that's an awesome title and all, but whatever happened to the Duke of the Monsters? What about the Duke of Earl?
Duke of Earl. Really, the Dark Horse series was well executed, paying tribute to the king with serious but still fun stories. It really stood in contrast to the other comics of this age.
Dude, this was the best Godzilla ever! It was the most extreme! Look at him with that badass 90s design, the big muscles, the thunder thighs, bodacious! This was easily the most complex characterization of the King of the Monsters, with the complex human characters, the overlapping storylines, the subtle tributes to the old movies, and even the specially created monsters just for the series, man. Get off my show. He even got Godzilla vs. Berkeley, dude. Woo! Go to hell. Okay, but I'm the 90s brat, and what you see is what you get.
Well, if you didn't catch most of that, the series did have some interesting human characters with the creation of G-Force as a team to study Godzilla. They also created several new monsters, some of which harkened back to the old Toho films, like Cybersaur here. I mean,
we all know who he's referencing. King Ghidorah.
There was strangely a reference to the old series with the ape men from the third planet from Mechagodzilla.
What, the HE double hockey sticks? I guess the Zillions were too marketable.
It was an impressive run for the King. They died off in the 90s, and it wouldn't be until 2011 when we would see the return of Godzilla to the paneled page. Independent company IDW announced they had not only acquired the rights to Godzilla, but also to the whole Toho catalog, and would be releasing a series to integrate all the famous monsters together. It was a big deal, especially with the brand new news of the upcoming American Godzilla reboot.
And we all know how that turned out. Oh wait, it was good.
So this brings us to today's issue, which was promised to be the Godzilla comic we all wanted.
So let's take a look at Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters #1 and see what it was we all wanted. Not this!
So let's start with the cover. It was a nice painted image by Alex Ross of all people, looking up at Godzilla firing off his heat ray in the middle of a city. Pretty badass, nothing to complain about, though I'd hate to be the artist trying to capture this image. Though I wish the issue better suited the picture. It wasn't the only cover, though, with these other two by Eric Powell, the actual writer. They're okay. I like this one with all the monsters. Our story begins with a fisheye. This is promptly squashed by a kid playing with a monster toy. My monster destroys all fish creatures!
Clever foreshadowing. Much more effective if it's clever.
Hey, I'm telling Dad. You're always telling, because you're always being a jerk.
I'm not even a full page in and I already hate these kids. Someone needs to stomp them.
We see them become transfixed by a large tail rising from the water.
I know it's supposed to be his tail, but what if it was his turd? I mean, look at it.
To be fair, this is a nice image with the tail bisecting the panels. And the next shot we get is Godzilla eating the little kids? Dang.
I mean, I didn't like the kids, but I didn't want them to get eaten.
And what in the name of Michael Jordan's jump shot? He's actually eating them.
Our hero, ladies and gentlemen, eater of children.
And yes, I know he's not supposed to be a hero, but come on! We all know where this is going. Other than the moral ambiguity, this is a pretty good reveal. It calls to mind the shot from Godzilla vs. Mothra, where he did the same thing. So Godzilla starts to attack the town, and we even get an air raid siren.
It's just not Godzilla without an air raid siren. Too bad we can't hear it!
It's a monster!
Why are bums always the first to know about these things?
And then we get...
Ah! Look at that face!
There's just something off about it. You have got to be fucking kidding me!
Hold on to that line. It'll come back.
So, we get about what we expected. We get some people crushed, and I guess we're supposed to feel bad for him. But I paid to see a giant monster attack, and by God, that's what I want. Eventually, the military intervenes, and that goes about as well as you'd expect.
And oh, by the way, we get some info that all this is happening in Japan. What were you expecting? Some kind of snarky remark?
So Godzilla goes out to sea, for some strange reason, and they hit him with a nuclear bomb.
I guess he wasn't created by radiation in this one for another strange reason.
This goes about as well as you might think, and gives Godzilla his signature nuclear breath.
Hooray!
Japanese James Gordon explains the situation, to which the general remarks, "You have got to be fucking kidding me!"
Keep holding on to that line.
Tokyo, 3 hours later. Nothing to explain here, really. What you see is what you get.
Dude! Shut up!
So we go to Washington, where we see a black president brooding over his office. Did you see the latest from the wacko?
A thinly veiled Fox News.
I'm now a socialist witch doctor out to perform Mengele-style experiments on infants in order to brainwash them into becoming Muslims.
I'm glad to see someone say what we're all thinking.
Seriously, I guess Eric Powell thought his vote made history back in 2008. Not Obama is drawn to the screen where we see the same image from earlier. The war, the economy, the oil spill, now this. You have got to be fucking kidding me!
Oh, ha ha! It came back! The president swears just like we do!
And that was the end of it. No more, nothing else to go on until next month.
This comic blows. This was the issue with the whole... with the whole series. Every issue was just too damn short.
They began bringing in other monsters, only to have issues end right when they got good. They even had a nice trick reveal with Batra instead of Mothra in one, but I can remember going to the store every damn month and paying out $3.50 for the things and being disappointed after 5 minutes.
This is worse than if I try to do some kind of complicated storylines with handmade puppets that I voiced over. I mean, that would just be weird.
However, it did get better. We soon had Godzilla, Gangsters and Goliaths, which was a pretty fun miniseries, not to mention the Godzilla Legends series, which gave vent to many fan-desired matchups.
Though we never got Desotroya versus Space Godzilla. Oh yeah, I just went there.
The Kingdom of Monsters series eventually ended, but was picked up with simply Godzilla, which was 100 times better than its predecessor. It too ran its course, only to be picked up as Godzilla, Rulers of the Earth, drawn by longtime Godzilla fan Matt Frank, who also created the Godzilla Neo images on the internet. I would check these out if you're a fan.
And I'm not just saying that because I know him.
There was also Godzilla HalfCentury War, about a man who meets Godzilla when he first appears and fights him for 50 years right up until the end.
And I might put that in my top 10 comics of all time.
So, in the end, IDW clawed out of their initial suck-it-to, and whereas Dark Horse had the Godzilla comics we needed, they produced the Godzilla comics we deserved.
Thanks, and I'll see you next time. What do you want?
Do cover.